What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the More Than Love podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran.
And I'm your co-host, Shay Bavo.
Tonight, we are going to be talking about managing your sex life. It's a real hot topic. It leads to a lot of problems in a lot of relationships, so I thought it would be a real good topic for us to jump into tonight. But before we get into the topic of the night, we like to start the show off with a segment that we call Terry's Top 3, where we basically highlight the 3 most popular or controversial posts from my Instagram page at Terry Duran. So we got a couple interesting posts lined up this week. The first post we're going to be starting with is actually a video that I was sent to me of Jeff Franklin talking about his relationship books and giving advice to women. So let's take a listen to the video.
I'm so tired of all these books about women. Here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what you got to do better to please your man, or here's what you got to do to get a man. No, sorry, scratch that. We as men, we got to do our work. We got to become better. Here's what we need to do to keep our women. Here's what we need to do to honor our women. I think any woman that thinks that she's responsible for another person's behavior or a man's behavior is sorely mistaken. I am not responsible for what another individual chooses to do, and another individual is not responsible for what I choose to do.
Okay, now I disagree with what he stated. I don't really think a person is necessarily responsible for another person's behavior, but when you are in a committed relationship, you have a direct influence on what your partner does. At least to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they always, like they say, your partner is a direct reflection of you.
Yeah, I mean, you have to complement one another. You
absolutely
everyone has needs that they're expected to be met out of a romantic relationship, and
right.
It's not if you agree to be in a relationship, then what you were saying is I agree to put in effort to meet your needs. That's what it takes to have a healthy relationship that functions and lasts and is able to get past conflicts and issues. Both people have to be putting in constant effort to meet each other's needs. You know what I mean? And so I also, what he said about the beginning where he said men need to stop telling women what they need to do different and all that, I completely disagree with that.
I disagree with that because, if she's doing something that, you don't like, and if that's problematic, it's causing problems in the relationship. I mean, it's not beyond the pale. It's not unreasonable for him to ask, hey, listen, can you not just, address the situation at hand?
Yeah, I mean, it would be different if women
because it sounds like, in that situation, what are you supposed to do? Say nothing and just be okay with it?
Yeah, see, that to me, that's pandering to women. That's treating women. You're right. He was a problem. Fellas, we're the problem. We need to. That's not. I don't see it that way because men are meeting their relationship goals. Their relationship goals are a lot different than most women, but that's kind of the point. Your dating strategies need to be suited for what your goals are, what you're happy with, what you're comfortable with. And men are doing that just fine. Even fuckboys are meeting their relationship goals.
Absolutely.
So it makes a lot more sense for women to realize what they're doing wrong because I interact with thousands of women every day. So I observe a lot of the mentalities that they have, the perspectives they have on men that are inaccurate, the things they think about men that are completely false. And these are the things that women use to form their dating strategy. This is what they use to come up with their playbook. They're using NBA rules to come up with a football game plan. That don't work.
Right. It's the apples to oranges comparison there.
Right. And so I think it does women a disservice when you tell them, when you say, no, fellas, we should step up, we should do better. Yeah, that applies to fuckboys and the men that they don't want to be with. But are they really about to listen to that? Are the fuckboys or the bums or the deadbeats really going to listen to that and say, you know what?
No.
Stop being a fuckboy. No, they're not.
Right. Like you said, when two agree to be in a relationship, I mean, you're collectively going to try to step it up to meet each other's goals and needs there. At least in theory and in principle there,
some people get in relationships for fucked up reasons. They don't go
right,
to the
absolutely
the right way. They don't make sure they're compatible, etc. So a lot of people, that's called a dysfunctional relationship. That's where things don't function properly. You know what I mean? Like, and those can last temporarily, or as long as people are willing to be frustrated and unhappy. But that's not most people's goal.
Well, what happens in a lot of those, you know, it always starts out great, you know, like as we spoke about on previous shows, the honeymoon phase, and then once the honeymoon phase just, you know, fizzes out, then that's it, you know.
Yeah,
what do you, you know, besides maybe some great sex, you know, what do you really have?
Right, you know, I mean, and that's the situation a lot of people find themselves.
And so, yeah, right, because you have, like I said, you have a lot of those.
They're in love with somebody, they're living with somebody, their life goals, their long-term goals, their education goals, their ambition, none of that is aligned. They just find each other
with a lot of those relationships, you know, you know, you have a lot of them that's built on, you know, superficial type of things.
Right.
You know, this person look good. They have the fly car, house, or et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these situations that people put themselves in, because it's not just women. A lot of people are desperate for love. They're anxious to be in a relationship, and so they take the first relationship that presents itself, and that's usually not a good decision. Because if your goal is to be with somebody 10, 15, 20 years, you got to make sure y'all on the same page on some really important stuff. Because you're going to make some very big decisions with this person over that time period. Deciding whether to have another baby or not is a big decision.
Absolutely.
If you want to move, you know what I'm saying, like, and raise your family is a big decision. You know what I'm saying, like dealing with crises that come up. If you're with somebody that can't effectively communicate, operate in a passive-aggressive manner, have an attitude about something and go weeks without talking to you about it, that's stuff that you should identify before you commit to this, to avoid dealing with that. Can you imagine how difficult that is, where your entire life is connected to somebody, but you made a decision that they mad about, they didn't tell you how to tell.
I mean, you know, these are life-changing decisions here, and not only that, these are big-time financial decisions you're making at that too, with these, because these decisions tie to your finances.
Life. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I often talk about how men feel about women is based off what they experience with them. Well, those are some of the things that men experience that make them not commit to women. Damn, you bringing up something that happened 2.5 weeks ago. You've been mad at it about for 2 weeks, doing petty shit, being short, cutting, not talking to them, having an attitude. That matters. You know what I mean? Like,
it absolutely does.
Really matters and makes a big difference
when
it comes to how a man selects the woman he wants to be with. You know what I mean?
Because that shows, you know, it shows like, you know, you don't have great problem-solving skills there, because instead of addressing the situation head-on, you're just being passive-aggressive about it.
Right, and so that's why I think, you know, when men tell women, you don't need to change anything, don't let a man tell you you need to change anything, like, that's not a good thing, because we see the things that women think. We see the logical decisions women make. So, yeah, if you're not one of the women that are doing none of those things, then it don't apply to you. But most women can't raise their hand and get that sticker.
Right. That's what, you know.
Flawed ideas. All your perspectives on men are accurate and represent the real world. Your expectations for dating are realistic and reasonable and practical. Like, if you put 1,000 women in a room and had them all raise their hand and start asking those questions, almost every woman would have to pull her hand down. You know what I mean? Like, because to find a woman that does not have one of those things is extremely rare. That's why they're viewed as being unicorns. You know what I mean? It's just most men are capable of dealing with a couple of those issues or a couple of those inaccurate, flawed perspectives of men. You know what I mean? They can overcome some of them. It's when it becomes too much, just overbearing where he makes a relationship decision.
Right. It's just like saying if she's financially irresponsible, well, just take it for what it is. She's just going to be financially irresponsible. You don't make her have to change that.
Right. You got to identify the red flags and actually make sure you're compatible. All right, so the next post that we're going to, sex and love have two different functions in a man's life. Sex is primarily for pleasure and sexual satisfaction. Love, romantically, is a feeling he has for a woman he wants to be a significant part of his life. The only time sex and love are mixed is when it is with the woman he loves, thus the term making love. That is how he stays connected to the woman he loves, and when there are issues sexually, it disrupts his connection to her. Now, you would think that that's something that's common sense. You know what I mean? Like, from a male perspective, it seems like something that women should easily be able to figure out. When a man is romantically involved with a woman or in a romantic relationship with her, the happier he is with a sex life and the relationship overall, the more likely he is to be faithful and act right or do all the things that women want. Get committed, move towards getting engaged and getting married and starting a family, etc. It's when those things are inconsistent or not matching up where you have all type of problems. But one of the biggest problems is women assume men treat sex like they do, when it's clear that we don't.
Right, and that's where I was gonna get at. Women and men don't view sex same. Men are I was able to compartmentalize sex. Men men have sex, they're doing it to fulfill sexual desires and fantasies, and get that nut off. Women on the other hand don't do it. Women on the other hand, are doing it based on an emotional attachment 9 times out of 10.
Right, and
even because think about it, how many times do women get in situations where a man says, "I'm not looking for a relationship. You know what? I just want to have sex and have fun and keep it moving." Now, how many women say, "Okay, they're okay with it," and then a couple of months down the line, they're not. They're like, "Oh well, What are we? What is this? Where is this going?"
Right, and men have to deal with all those type of issues.
Right.
Disclaimers like don't catch feelings, and they try to have these kind of discussions up front to prevent some of that stuff, but that's not usually the case. And it has to do with how men and women view sex differently. Men make it very clear. They're willing to fuck women they barely know. They don't know their first and last name. They don't know where they're from. Men have proven century after century they are willing to fuck random women. They're willing to fuck multiple women. They are willing to sleep with women that they don't have any intention of being with and they don't have any feelings for. And so when women act like they don't know this, they have not seen this their entire lives. They have not seen men that they haven't heard of prostitution. They haven't seen strip club culture. They
don't even. Men will have sex, and they don't necessarily even have to find the woman attractive.
Right. He can just find something about you attractive, or have a vivid imagination. A man is very capable of getting some head or getting some back shots from a chick that he's not attracted to. That really falls into the category of like taking one for the team, or a dude that's just really unsuccessful with women that got to take every opportunity he can get. You know what I mean? But Athens is very easy to do. Dicks ain't that smart. They just need to be feel good and have some moisture and flash. You know what I'm saying? Like that dick.
Exactly.
So it don't take a lot of effort. Plus, sex is mostly a mental thing anyway. If from a male perspective, the only time that there's that emotional attachment is with a woman he already loves or he already cares about. Good pussy is not gonna make him love you. It can make him love fucking you. It can make him love hanging out with you.
It does. At best, give him the desire for more.
Yeah. But that within itself is usually not enough to make a man want to spend his life with you, want you to be the woman that have his kids. You know what I mean? Like, want to be the woman he connects his finances to. Like, those are really big decisions, especially for the type of men that women want to be with. A man that's making six figures, a man that got his shit together. He's an entrepreneur. He owns his own. Like, you want these type of professional, got their life together men. You have to show him that you can make it happen.
You have to have more, more to bring to the table, more, tangible items to bring to the table as opposed to just sex here.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not just sex. Like, that's one of the things that I want to clarify too. Most relationships that men and women get into are not just sex. So even if a man doesn't want to be committed to a woman, it's not. They going to games together. They going out to eat. They got mutual friends. They doing different stuff. Like, so it's not just sex. Y'all talking about problems.
Right.
Doing favors for each other, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's more than just sex when you fuck with somebody
but women don't want it
in a period of time.
But women still don't want to hear, a lot of women often frown upon it, with it gets, okay, we can do all that, but I'm not trying to commit.
Yeah, I mean, but that's usually the part that's unspoken. They usually don't share those thoughts with the man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of women feel like they can use sex to get a man to do those things.
Right.
Let's move on to the next post. Now, this was a post that I really liked and felt proud about. This is a post that I put up. It said 5 ways that women benefit from being with quality men. So it said, number 1, there's absolutely no fear of him ever physically harming you. 2, he clearly expresses his thoughts, feelings, and concerns so that you can adjust to them. 3, he values your thoughts and feelings and reflects that in his attitude and behavior. 4, his priorities are in order and he demonstrates he knows how to maintain a stable lifestyle. And 5, he holds you accountable for your behavior and pushes you to be a better person without trying to force you to do it. Now, when I came up with that, man, I just wanted to explain to women what it's like being with a man that does not operate with malicious intent, that doesn't go into a relationship trying to hurt your feelings, trying to break your heart, doesn't spend his free time trying to contemplate ways to fuck over you or get over on you or et cetera. And because that seems to be the perception a lot of women have of men. They have this overwhelming perception that all men do is try to think of ways to break their hearts or cheat or do all these type of things, when that's not really the case. And I'm really a testament to that. I can speak for the how men that are actually happy really operate. And the things, the benefits that the women that they date or marry get from being with them. You don't really realize how important those things that I listed are until you're in a domestic relationship and you getting your ass beat.
Right.
That you never have to feel threatened by becomes a premium asset of dating a man. Because a lot of women, when I put the post up, they were saying things like, oh, you should get a pat on the back for not threatening a woman. Like, no, you don't deserve a pat on the back for it. It's what you do. But it's one of the things that gets taken for granted. Like, it gets taken for granted. Your house is gonna have all the utilities and running water and shit until you live a lifestyle where you have to live without one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so one of the benefits of being with a man that doesn't believe in hitting women, or you know what I'm saying, like, you don't ever have to feel, even when you know your husband could be pissed off at you, you don't have to feel like he's gonna knock your teeth out. You don't have to.
You don't ever have to feel that any kind of threat or danger to your life because of him.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's some things that are very hard to admit or discuss with your spouse, but the lack of a physical fear is a very real thing. And all you have to do is talk to any woman that has survived domestic violence to the real perspective on that.
Now, since on one of the points you said of qualities of dating a quality man, the benefits I say. For one, you said he would never intentionally try to hurt you.
Right.
But I think women see that quite opposite. For example, when they hurt you, They said, well, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have hurt me.
Yeah,
how many times do we hear that? Or even on some of your posts, you see that on your comments. Well, if he really loved her, he wouldn't have hurt her.
Yeah, you hear stuff like that, but that's really a flawed perspective,
Absolutely.
People can get hurt based off misunderstandings and assumptions and things that they
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not really a fair thing to bring into a relationship. That's dysfunctional relationship behavior. You know what I mean? Some of the other things that I talked about on the list, like I wanted women to understand that a real man cares what his woman thinks and feels. He takes her opinion into consideration. He may not always be able to make the decision she wants, but her thoughts, her desires, her feelings are a part of his decision-making process.
Right.
Expressing himself, keeping you informed on what's going on, why he's doing what he's doing, what he's trying to do with his life. When you're dealing with a man that's consistent, you're going to see what his goals are, and you'll see him taking steps to meet those goals. You'll see him investing his money to things that are going towards what he said he was trying to do. You know what I mean? And so these are the type of men that I'm telling y'all about, and this is why it's a smart idea to change the flawed dating strategy. This is why it's a good idea to learn how he dates, to learn how he goes about the dating process, so that you don't get yourself eliminated every time you come to sex with a quality guy. You know what I mean? That's a very disheartening situation for a quality woman to be in. If she's a quality woman and she got on paper everything a real man would want, but all the men choose not to date her because of her views on bills or dating or sex or whatever, then she's losing based off her own dating strategies or her own perspective. And
right. I think with a lot of those, a lot of times why they don't find that they don't get with one of these quality men, and it always eludes them is because of flawed dating standards or just flawed dating views. Period.
Yeah, a lot of relationships end that don't necessarily need to.
They have they have a flawed perception of what a real man is or what a real man's supposed to be.
True.
Yeah.
Look like we're going to be coming up. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the topic of the night where we're talking about managing your sex life in a way that your relationship can actually last and be considered healthy. So you're listening to the More Than Love podcast. We'll be back momentarily. Thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast. And tonight we are talking about managing your sex life. This is an area where a lot of women seem to really ruin or mismanage this part of their relationships. And unfortunately, it leads to a lot of breakups and or cheating. So I figured it'd be a real good topic to address because based off the conversations that I've had, it seems like this is an area where a lot of women underestimate the importance of it. When it comes to getting in a relationship, from a male perspective, giving the woman the keys to your sex life is a real big deal, especially if you're the kind of man that has been successful with women. You have multiple options. You have multiple women that you could be dealing with. When you choose to give all your time and effort to one woman and commit to her, you are trusting her to meet your sexual needs if y'all are already romantically involved. And so what often happens is women will give a man a certain level of romance or sexual interaction when they're just kicking it or they're just dating. Now, part of that is because of the excitement of it being new. Your first couple times fucking somebody, it is, you anxious to do it again. You fucking in different places. So there's part of that just can't be avoided. But overall, that energy should stay pretty consistent.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to start off doing something where y'all fucking all the time, y'all fucking like rabbits, and then y'all jump to barely fucking. Because...
Right, yeah. That's the point there. You know, you definitely want to... Because at the end of the day, especially for a man, and I know you probably dealt with this before, but at some point, you're going to get tired of pulling that woman. If you're starting out pulling like a rabbit, you know, within the first, say a couple weeks of the initial dating stage.
Yeah, I mean, well, you definitely got to have variety. You know what I mean? But as long as you consistent, like, see, I think men can deal with fucking the same woman a lot better if there's no sexual frustration in the process. And what I mean by that is there are no long period, like, well, let me give some context. When a man that's successful with women, when he's single, on any given night, he can hit up somebody he could fuck, get some head from, eat some pussy, whatever he's in the mood for. They don't fuck every night. Nobody does. You know what I mean? Like, but he's going to fuck at least a couple of times a week. You know what I'm saying? On a consistent basis. And so what you have to do is figure out how compatible y'all are sexually. What is your sex drive like? How often do you need to have sex before you are satisfied or you to be content? And that's going to vary from person to person. It's going to vary based off age, based off culture, etc. So, but that's part of the dating phase. That's one of the main things you should be figuring out, because you have to be compatible in that arena. Otherwise, the relationship is really a waste of time. You can't be grossed out by sucking dick or pussy eating with somebody that's a freak that love oral sex. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people that will get in a committed relationship with somebody like that, but that just means they gonna be getting their dick sucked and letting somebody else ride their face. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a good situation to put yourself in if your goal is to be in a committed relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
I think, sex plays a bigger part in relationships that people are willing to give credit for.
yeah,
Now, that's not to say that sex is the be all end all in that relationship. But
it's not.
definitely can be a deal breaker in some cases.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I look at it like this. If cheating is this big thing that women say it is and people act like it's the end of the earth, then clearly that means keeping your partner satisfied sexually should be a big deal. It should be just as important to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell me that death is important, but then tell me that heart attacks ain't important. You know what I'm saying? Like, they both related to one another.
But I'm pretty sure you've got questions like these before from either men or women, where a lot of women sometimes these relationships with home sex or trying to use sex as a bargaining chip in said relationship there.
Yeah.
Think about it. How many times, you've heard this before. How many times, you hear women talking about themselves, they'll be like, well, he's not getting no sex tonight because of that.
Right.
He did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was going to talk about. I took some notes on the topic that I was going to get into. But one of the things you hit on it. That's the number one thing. The biggest mistake I see women do in their relationships is they turn sex and romance, something that's supposed to be pleasure, generates emotion between them, maintains the connection between them. They take that precious, delicate thing and they turn it into a reward punishment system. And that kills your relationship, because it makes a man question why he got into the relationship in the first place.
Someone not home with someone that sees sex as their trump card.
Right. And that's a problem.
Like they can manipulate the situation based on sex.
They in a lot of cases they do. For men that are not successful with women, they can. For men that have financial or emotional ties or children with them, they can. They can. I'm gonna take, if you don't do such and such, I'm gonna take the kids and leave. Like, if a man is family oriented and he spent his entire life preparing himself to be a good dad, that is a major threat. And it's a very realistic threat. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, yes, men are manipulated by some of the things that women do in these type of instances when it comes to sex. oftentimes when we talk about it, women will say things like, she didn't force him to cheat, he could have left, he could have did this, but they don't really take everything into consideration.
Right.
And so
They don't take, that he might, he had a chick by her, he doesn't want to, get the rear end of the, short end of the stick by the legal system.
right, there are a lot of reasons why men.
They're all legal ramifications.
Right. So when it, as far as managing your sex life in a way that is healthy and productive, I have a couple things a couple points that I want to talk about. The first thing, you have to have realistic expectations. It's not realistic for a man to expect his wife or his girlfriend or whatever to fuck him the same way he was getting fucked when he was fucking with 3 or 4 chicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not realistic to expect a complete equal transfer of what you were getting when you were single and what you're getting in the committed relationship. But it should not be a drastic difference. You know what I'm saying? If he's used to fucking 5 or 6 times a week, then he should be fucking more than once every 2 weeks in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't have to be. It's not realistic to expect it to stay the same, but it should remain consistent. And that really boils down to that conversation about, like, well, at least it's hard to kind of have a conversation, and I think a lot of people don't. But when a man gets rejected multiple times from his woman, especially if they live together and he's paying bills and doing everything he's supposed to do, that creates a lot of animosity in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, and another thing, for men, I mean, it's somewhat, a blow to his ego, because especially if he's been a successful woman, even when he was single, let's just say he's used to mess with 4 or 5 different chicks, and he's in that relationship, sex is good, and now she's just like, nah, we're not doing it tonight for whatever reasons.
Though, I mean, it's not just the ego, but the physical pleasure of it. You know, when you are missing, it's like a kid getting, you only get to go on recess on Mondays when you was getting it Monday through Friday. You're going to notice the difference in your happiness, and that directly plays out in the relationship. You know, a man that's unhappy is a lot less willing to put up with some shit he's not happy about with his woman. He's a lot less likely to deal with the things that love and being happy causes a man to overlook or ignore, right? And so the next thing, I've already touched on it, is the compatibility. That's something that really needs to be talked about and figured out throughout the dating phase. Just because you like somebody, just because you think they're cute, does not mean that y'all are compatible sexually. And that's just the reality of it. Some people, y'all could look good on paper, y'all could possibly make some cute kids, y'all could have mutual friends, but y'all could not be compatible sexually. Your sex drive could be drastically different than theirs, and that is going to significantly increase the chances that somebody gets that need met elsewhere. The next thing.
I think if you're not compatible with that person's sexually, I think you should definitely think twice before jumping in a relationship with that person.
Some people commit after the first, second, and third date before they even started fucking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't figure this out before they commit.
Right. And like, the aforementioned honeymoon thing that we discussed earlier on the show in the top 3, was late and Thursday that it just finished out.
Right. So another thing that needs to be taken into consideration: people's appearance change over time. People are not always beautiful. They're not always in shape. They gain weight. They lose hair. They get gray hair. So your level of attraction to your partner or your spouse can fluctuate. You know, like, those are real things. And so those things have to be taken into consideration when you were talking about managing your sex life. You know, I can speak from when I got super fat and obese. It makes sense why my wife wasn't as sexually turned on to me then. You know what I mean? Like, so that meant that I had to put effort into getting fine again, to getting in shape, to getting my 6-pack back. Like, I had to get back to what she was attracted to, because that's when you talk about putting in effort, that's what it means. You know, trying to make sure that your partner's needs are met. If you're not getting pleasure from looking at me, that's a problem in the relationship. You know what I mean? And if you can do something about it, like, it's not, people want to see effort. You declining to eat a second piece of pie, or yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people will be a lot more tolerant of things if they're showing effort. If your partner come to you and tell you that your weight's a problem, or they don't like your haircut or something, they expect you to do something about. Babe, why you go 3 or 4 weeks without a haircut? Can you go get a line every 2 weeks? Or effort, just little small stuff. You know what I mean? Babe, why you always gotta wear so much? Like, when your partner's complaining to you or expressing to you their feelings about those type of things, they want to see some type of effort towards actually meeting that need, if it's reasonable or realistic. You know, obviously don't change who you are 100%, but people making the relationship last or be healthy is about trying to make sure you are meeting your partner's needs, and if they're doing the exact same thing, you have a much better chance of having a healthy relationship. Let's see, the last thing. Now, I wanted to talk about this. This is something I posted about before. From a male perspective, this is, I like to call these love erections. And this is a situation where I talked about the connection a man has with a woman. When a man loves you or cares about you or really likes you, whatever, and he has a orgasm or a sexual experience with you, it puts a man in a kind of euphoric state that I call lovey-dovey mode, where he'll be thinking about all the shit he like about you, or why he's glad you his girl, reminiscing about sexual encounters, other things about you. Like, he's just in this super, I miss her, I'm thinking about her, I'm in a romantic lovey-dovey mood. Right? Where he's sending sweet texts, he's planning dates, he's doing all these type of things. Though you want to keep your man in that state. And you do that by having sex and having these sexual experiences on a regular basis. You don't want to have a long period of time in between these sexual experiences, or multiple rejections in between sexual experiences, because that turns into negative energy. It starts to create a resentment. It makes him feel like you're not attracted to him. It can make him insecure or think you cheating with somebody else. It could make him want to go test to see if he still got it. It creates a lot of potential negative situations. And that's not to say that a man expects his woman to have sex every time he's horny. That's not realistic. Nobody should expect that. But when you are making up excuses that are not really significant, like, oh no, I'm too tired. Man, there's a word called a quickie for a reason. A dude that's just horny, that just want to bust a nut, is very capable of giving you an experience that is less than 3 minutes and being totally cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Like so to use I'm so tired, I got a headache. Yeah, that's understandable once or twice, but that's not acceptable 4 or 5 nights in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when you take other,
you know, that does happen in a lot. You do hear that a lot of times.
Yeah, you do.
I'm too tired. We can do it
but
tomorrow.
now that has to be taken into context, though. The person's workload, lifestyle, all that needs to be taken into context. If she's working 2 jobs and you ain't helping her clean up, and she got to cook, then it makes sense.
12 hours, she works 12-hour day. She got to come home, cook.
Yeah.
Cook for the kids or something. So, yeah,
That would be a situation where the intellectual person is going to do their best to lighten her workload. So some of that energy she was using on doing the laundry, let her save that so she can reverse cowgirl this dick. Like, that's where you have to use some common sense, and that's the difference between a quality man and a man that really ain't shit. A man that'll just sit back and watch his woman struggling and not make any changes, not adapt, not make any change. That's not the type of man that's gonna be a 30-year husband. A man that is about making sure his family's good don't have no pride to not do laundry, to not load the dishwasher, to not run errands, to not go to. He's willing to do whatever it takes to make the household run because he had to do that when he was single. He didn't rely on anybody. He was 100% dependent. So it don't matter if it's taking the trash out. It don't matter if it's whatever. If he got my wife was out of town this weekend. I had to do my daughter's hair. I really don't. I hate doing it because I don't like how the grease and shit I feel. But I had to gel her up and put her ponytails and shit together for cheer practice. Yeah, I didn't really like doing it. I don't really want to do it, but I'm gonna do it for my daughter. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of
obviously lessen the workload around for significant other.
Man, that's what it's about. You're a partnership.
Now, like we were talking earlier. Now he's doing that. She's saying, "Well, I'm stereotyped, and you have a problem."
That's when you get men that cheat and don't feel guilty about it. They feel like I talked to you about it multiple times. Like when a man does actually do you fix all your excuses. Oh, I'm so tired. I had to clean up this and I had to do. When he eliminates your excuses and you come up with another one, that's when that's what happened with me and why I cheated, and that's what happens with a lot of men where.
The old saying goes, if you don't get it from you, you're going to get it somewhere else. And like I said, after the excuses pile up, he's going to say, what's funny? I'm going to get somewhere else, somebody who is going to fulfill my sexually, who isn't going to be too tired.
Right, and a lot of women, by the time they realize how big of a problem it is, in a lot of cases, it's too late. He's already DMing somebody's DMs. He's already started the motions with his coworker or with somebody else that he knows is interested in him.
That was going to be my next point. All the cases, he's been his frustrated
Yep.
coworker, and then, bam,
It's the woman that finds him attractive, like, damn, you ain't getting no pussy.
Right. Next thing, she's like, well, you look too cute out here for her, getting no pussy, and next thing he's over here tearing that pussy up on his lunch break.
Yeah, a lot of the cheating and the stuff that goes on is preventable. We just don't.
Right.
We don't have the tools to, or we don't communicate effective enough to figure out what it really is and actually do something about it before it gets to that point.
Or not out with his homeboys.
Yeah, man. I mean, you get real creative.
But the most assertive point is, ghosting open the doors to cheating.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no way to cheat-proof a relationship, but, if you're having sex consistently with your partner, it at least reduces the chances.
It significantly reduces the chances of it. A man that's happy at home, the money's straight, everything is good, you ain't beefing with wifey, and you getting sex the way you want it, you don't have. That is when you are in a position to be able to resist a head offer, some thought coming at you. You know what I'm saying? Like when you are actually good, when you're not desperate for sex, when you don't have to stress over when the next time you're gonna get some head. Like, believe it or not, there are married men that can't remember the last time they got some good sex or a real pleasurable sexual experience. But a lot of times, finances, they not able to move. They might not have other options. Like there are a lot of reasons that people end up sticking in these type of situations. So I just wanted to talk about it in depth because the topic comes up a lot because we talk about cheating a lot. And this is a major reason why a lot of men are unwilling to commit to women is because of how they mismanage being given the keys to a man's sex life. A lot of men feel like women abuse this power and that privilege that comes with being in a monogamous relationship. And so men just would rather be bachelors and avoid it altogether in a lot of cases.
Right. Well, a lot of times, like you're not women do hold because women decide whether or not you're going to. Because think of it like this: you're living, with
Very true.
You know?
That's that, and that's what causes the resentment. That's yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're petty with it. They go take a bath, put on their cutest panties, and then don't touch me. Like they inflame a situation that he could already be struggling to not cheat on your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you go and do something like that and make it 10 times worse. You're killing your relationship from the inside out with that type of behavior and that type of mentality.
And a lot don't realize that, a lot of people, and you do have some that'll be, dumbfounded and prejudiced about the situation. Oh, I can't believe he cheated.
True.
Well,
but anybody that hears the whole situation will be like, damn, she was begging to get cheated on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear situations like that all the time.
I mean, people on the outside, just any kind of sensible, logical person is going to see why. But, some people don't have self-awareness to see why. Or you do have some that think, well, this pussy too good, he ain't going nowhere.
True. Yeah, Cardi had a post saying stuff like that it went viral. But that the good pussy won't keep a man faithful. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes more than just that. But a consistent sex life along with good pussy, because good pussy ain't by itself. He need head. You know what I'm saying? Like, he need pictures. He need other stuff besides just having good pussy, because that's not always accessible. So it takes a variety of things to keep each other sexually aroused and sexually satisfied. Looks like we are up against the clock. I want to make sure y'all go check out the article that I did, a joint article I did with Crystal Jordan and RollingOut.com, where we talked about this topic. So go check that out. Jay, another good quality episode. I appreciate everybody tuning in.
Glad to follow you back on here after 2-month hiatus here.
Yeah, man. We had some logistics to work out, but we back in business. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you tell your friends about the episodes, share the episodes, so we can spread the knowledge and spread the wealth. There's been another episode of More Than Love Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.
All right, we good.
Okay, good. So I guess it'll be up the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'll fuck with it tomorrow. My wife